The Islanders finally get off the schneid. We had some overtime madness in Canada, and it was goals galore in Sin City. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On NHL Game Night.
When that final horn sounds, you know it's time for Locked On NHL Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On NHL Game Night. Your team every day.
Hello there, hockey fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On NHL Game Night. If you're a true fan, this is the only stop you need to get caught up on all the NHL action because we will be bringing it to you. Shukri writes, Cam Stuart, just a couple of sad Boston Bruins fans, at least temporarily sad, going through a full slate in the NHL tonight. 11 games, Shukri, 11 games.
They added sad, but that is probably accurate as hell, but you're right, 11 games.
It would be frustrated if we weren't so tired. So that's why I'm going with sad, dejected. But 11 games on the schedule, and this was a very entertaining slate of 11 full games tonight, especially in that early window. And we've got a lot to get into. We've got a lot of Shukri Wright's analysis to get into as well. So we might as well just hop right into it. Shukri, when we came into this night, there was only one team in the NHL that didn't have a point yet. One team. And they got the big time prime time matchup as the New York Islanders welcoming in the two-time defending Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. And boy, was there a lot going on in this one. Just over 3 minutes left in the first, Matthew Barzal, his first goal since January of last year, coming off an injury-riddled season, takes it right off Evan Bouchard's stick and is in all alone, buries it, top shelf, 1-0 Isles. First time the Oilers were trailing all year. And at this point, Edmonton had been terrible so far in this game, just turning the puck over left, right, and center. But a minute after that goal, they get a power play, and you know what they do on the power play. Leon, McDavid, back to Leon, give and go all day, 1-1. And then you know what happens when you let the Oilers hang around. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins takes a turnover, buries a wrister in the second, makes it 2-1 Oilers. And then you're thinking by the end of this period, the Islanders are dead. Okay, they're down 2-1. They're on the penalty kill. J.G. Pageau, beautiful pass to a breaking away Bo Horvat, and he buries it. It's once again Evan Bouchard. Little traffic cone out there in the neutral zone. He's no idea where the puck is going, and he's left for dead. That's what makes it 2-2. And Ray Ferraro on the broadcast for ESPN says it's, quote, as bad a 2 periods as he has ever seen an NHL player play when referring to Evan Bouchard. An absolute pylon in this one. And then things really ratcheted up. David Riddick, the backup goalie, robs Connor McDavid to keep it at 2-2. And then it gets late into the third with that same score. Our pal, Trent Frederick, taking a bad high sticking penalty. It's just him and Matthew Schaefer going into the zone, neither even really going for the
Sounds
puck.
familiar, huh?
It's so bad. And then you know what the script is. You know what's going to happen. Bad penalty late in the game. Islanders, bad power play, but they go on it. Bo Horvat scores again, makes it 3-2. He puts it into the empty net to get the hat trick. And the Islanders, the last team to get a point, but they get their first win of the season. We have got Gil Martin of Locked On Islanders on what was a very exciting night on the island.
The New York Islanders get off the schneid with a win over the Edmonton Oilers. Final score 4-2. Bo Horvat with a power play goal, a shorthanded goal, and an empty net goal for the hat trick. Matthew Schaefer, a point in his 4th straight game. He becomes the youngest player in NHL history to have a point in his first 4 games of his career. Overall, the Islanders skated better, played more inspired hockey, did better on special teams, and got solid goaltending from David Riddick in this one. And it's a well-deserved first win of the season. This one is like a monkey off the team's back. For more in-depth daily coverage of your New York Islanders, check out the Locked On Islanders podcast.
It was a very exciting night, Shukri. It's been a struggle for Edmonton the last couple of games in New York, but the story of this one, obviously Bo Horvat with the hat trick, and this Matthew Schaefer kid can really play.
Listen, Matthew Schaefer is something really, really special. And, I mean, Cam, he's the first and actually the youngest defenseman in NHL history with a season opening streak of at least 4 games. I mean, the youngest, let's just put that into context for any of the hockey, the young hockey fans out there. Not even Larry Robinson, not even Barry or Bobby Orr, not even Ray Bork, not even Cam McCarr did this. And this is like incredible. I mean, when you talk about just how good this kid Matthew Schaefer is, like we knew like going into the season, but what he has done has been nothing short of just absolutely incredible. In fact, like he had an assist in this game to extend the streak to 4 games, but then also as you talked about, like Bo Horvat, the hat trick in this one, and a natural hat trick at that, which I mean, my goodness, like you know how long it's been since Bo Horvat had a hat trick, a natural hat trick at that? 6 years.
Wait on me. 6 years, man.
6 years. So that goes to tell you that one, the historic nature of Bo Horvat and him scoring a hat trick, and then 2, Matt Schaefer, what he's doing, what no young defenseman at his age has ever done in the history of the league. Yeah, it was a pretty incredible night for the New York Islanders, who, I mean, finally got off the mat and got themselves a regulation win as well. So that was some really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and like Schaefer, like obviously number 1 overall pick, right? He's got some talent, but a guy who didn't play a lot of games last year and comes in right away, and he has looked very much up to the challenge, speed-wise, physicality-wise. That's a tough thing to do. And when you talk about young guys in this league, you need not look much further than the epicenter of the game, which is in Montreal, which is where we go next. This took a while to feel this thing out because we went through more than half the game without a score. Steven Stamkos get a little fortunate bounce, but number 583 for Stammer, 3rd amongst active players. 2 pretty good guys ahead of him, Sidney Crosby and, of course, Alex Ovechkin. And they led 2-1 late in this game. The Preds did. It looked like they were going to steal one. But then it went from a hockey game to the Cole Caufield show. 20 seconds left in the 3rd. Lane Hutson blocks a shot in front of his empty net, and then a stretch pass to Caufield right at the blue line. Wrist shot. Bang. Tie game. Just like that. We go to overtime. And for the 2nd game in a row, Cole Caufield says, "Don't worry about it, boys. I'll close up shop tonight." Nick Suzuki tees him up, one-timer with 2 seconds left in overtime. Eat your heart out, Nashville. Cole Caufield does it again. Ian Boisvert of Locked On Canadiens. Boys, he loving life right now.
It's Cole Caufield's world. We're just living in it. Ian Boisvert here of Locked On Canadiens, coming to you immediately after the Montreal Canadiens have defeated the Nashville Predators on home ice by a score of 3-2 in overtime. The story in this one, Cole Caufield getting the game-tying goal in the dying seconds of the 3rd period with the net empty, although it wasn't completely empty because Lane Hutson made a game-saving save on Jonathan Marchessault, knocking a shot down and immediately finding Cole Caufield to break the puck out and score on a break 2-on-1. Caufield also scores his 5th goal of the year in overtime, his 2nd overtime winner in as many games. He now is tied for the most overtime winners in Montreal Canadiens history. And the Canadiens have won 4 in a row, something that took them 60 games to do last year. They've done now in just 5. They are now 13-1-2 in their last 16 games at the Bell Center. It's going to be a scary place for teams to play. If they keep playing like this, we'll see some more this spring. Keep it with Locked On Canadiens all season, as we've got the Habs covered for you.
Shukri, there are going to be some bumps in the road for this Canadiens team because of how young they are. But you want to talk about the young excitement? Like, it was all on display in this game.
Merci beaucoup, Ian. Let me sort of there. Number 1, number 2.
Whoa.
Uh-oh. Is that okay?
Good. That was fantastic. That was great. You're blowing my mind.
Oh, my gosh. bro, listen. It may be late doing this show, but it's never late to pull something out the bag, like to surprise people. But let me tell you something though. In terms of Cole Caufield, it really was the Cole Caufield show, and I agree. Like the thing that I look at, man, the game-winning goal. It was a one-timer between the circles from a backhanded wicked pass from Nick Suzuki. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That was one hell of a play. I mean, this week itself has been a week where you've seen some pretty nasty passes to set up game-winning goals in and around the NHL. And I'm referencing the Trevor Zegras to Sean Couturier goal from the Flyers home opener a couple of nights back. But this play itself was just absolutely a beauty to watch. And then on top of that, like you see the fight with this Montreal Canadiens team. And that's what you're seeing early on in this season is the fight that this team has. Even when you think that they're down, they're not giving up. Like you know, and you got to give credit on where it's due. Jacob Dobesh, like the way that he was able to just battle in this game, keep the Canadiens in this one, and ultimately at the end of the day, it just seems like the Predators just cannot find a way to hold on to a tight lead, and ultimately for UC Saros, he was solid, but he just wasn't good enough. And I just think that the Predators are going to have to find a way to pick up the pace a bit, especially late in games in 1-goal games.
And they're looking for goal scoring again, second year in a row where they're just not getting enough offensively. You could say the same goal scoring issues for the New York Rangers so far this season, very much so. They go up to Toronto in this game, and Toronto takes the early lead. And as a Rangers fan, you've got to be thinking, oh, great, I don't know if we're going to get another one here. Anthony Stolarz was standing on his head for most of this game. And then 5 minutes into the third, it finally happened. Juuso Parssinen gets a low shot deflection. Rangers get their first goal in 8 periods.
Crazy.
And more importantly, it ties the game at 1. This one goes to overtime. And sometimes the skill just wins out. Willie Nylander, little curl and drag, wide open Austin Matthews for the tap in. Leafs win it 2-1. 2 Canadian games that go into overtime. 2 American overtime winners with Caufield and Austin Matthews. It's a tap in for this one. Nice win for Toronto, but the scoring problems continue for the Rags. Just ask Locked On Rangers host John Chick.
Okay, so Mika Zibanejad just whiffed on a shot on overtime and fell on his face, and then the Leafs went the other way. And they scored, and they won 2-1 against the Rangers. It's tough sledding right now because the Rangers, they actually managed to score a goal in this game, which is kind of unusual lately, but they have 1 goal in their last 9 periods of play, plus, if you want to count the overtime period tonight as well. And I feel like they deserve better. Their effort level and the amount of scoring chances that they're creating, to me, it would spell out more than 1 goal in the last 9 periods. But facts are facts. They've scored 1 goal in 9 periods. It might be an issue where this team just doesn't have enough finish. They don't have enough closers. They don't have enough guys that are bona fide snipers that can really put the puck in the net. That might be part of it, but this team is up against it right now, man. I really do think that they've played better than what these results have shown these last 3 games, but you got to find a way to win games. And unfortunately, Rangers have not been able to do that very often. 2-3-1 to start the season.
Yeah, it's a couple of tough luck losses, 2 games in a row. They did play well against Edmonton again in this game against Toronto. You agree with that, Shukri, that they deserve better?
No, I don't. I disagree with it, honestly. Like, here's why. When you're a team that, listen, I know the team went through some considerable changes during the offseason, and you go that long without being able to score a goal, that kind of is a warning sign to the rest of the organization that, hey, the Rangers may have a scoring problem. They do. Because even though the Rangers, they were the team that, yes, they were able to tie it up after the Maple Leafs go up 1-0 after Matthew Nice redirects a shot from Nylander at the top of the goal crease on the power play. But man, you gotta wonder, where is the offense going to come from in regards to the Rangers? But then also, you gotta give credit to Austin Matthews, because Austin Matthews he's on a little bit of a heater, mind you. Cam, he had a 2-goal game in Tuesday's win over the Nashville Predators, and he scores the game winner 58 seconds into overtime, no less. So you talking about showing fight, something that Toronto's getting used to with the Maple Leafs and as well as the Blue Jays. But you get my point. But the point being that right now, I think it's an indictment against the Rangers in terms of the inability to score. You talked about like the Predators in their game against Montreal, I think the Rangers have an even bigger problem with their inability to score thus far this season. But as far as Toronto, you gotta like what you've been able to see without Mitch Marner, but seeing other guys like William Nylander and Matthew Nice in particular like step up as well.
We're not done with the overtime in Canada. We're also not done with the losing streaks. What's going on with the defending champs? We'll go over it next on Locked On NHL Game Night. Tonight's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Hockey season's officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. I'll be at a top 3 NCAA hockey matchup in my city tomorrow because of Game Time. And you know what? Most of the time, getting tickets, it can be a total headache. The queues, surprise fees, prices jumping right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is just cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. It's the app that gives fans back the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack to scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Their zone deals, an absolute game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. And yeah, what I love is toggling that all-in pricing tool. That price you see is the price you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. Back to it on this Thursday night. Friday morning, Locked On NHL Game Night. Shukri writes, Cam Stuart bringing you all the action. Let's head up to Jersey, to the Rock, where the Cats are trying to avoid making it 3 losses in a row. And they start off well. 2 minutes into the game, Evan Rodriguez, former BU Terrier, puts it in the net. 1-0 Florida. That's all they would get. The Devils calling their big guns, get 3 unanswered in this one. Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, Nico Hischier. They win this one 3-1. Looked like the Panthers might have got one at the end. No, sir. Goaltender interference. That is the final score for tonight. It's not going well for the champs right now. Locked On Panthers host Armando Velez talks about those road struggles they got going on.
Tonight are reminders of why goalie wins are not stats. What is up, guys? Armando Velez here from the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, here to quickly break down the Panthers' 3-1 loss against the New Jersey Devils from the Rock. The Panthers switched up the forward lines going into this game, putting Eetu Luostarinen back at third-line center, and the Panthers were able to get a goal early on in the first 2 minutes thanks to Evan Rodriguez off of a Brad Marchand chance, but the Panthers weren't able to generate after that. Inability to finish and generate speed through the neutral zone. 10 less shots on goal per game on the road than at home. That's a big problem for the Panthers. Danilo Tarasov was outstanding, giving the Panthers a chance save after save, especially with the Panthers having some penalty trouble throughout this game. And the Panthers got some momentum going into the second period, killing off a 4-on-3 and even being on the power play going into the third. But the superstars for the New Jersey Devils came to play. For more on this game, make sure to check out tomorrow's episode of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Your team every day.
3 losses on the bounce for the Panthers, Shukri. Concern there in South Florida?
Yes and no, but I know in this, I mean, yes, because anytime you go through a little bit of a losing kid, there's concern, especially if you're the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. But in this case, not entirely, but they just didn't play a good game in terms of the Panthers on that is. But as far as like the Devils are concerned, I did think that considering that they've now won 3 in a row after the season opening loss against the Carolina Hurricanes in Carolina, I think they've bounced back like pretty nicely. But in terms of the Panthers, the way I look at it is this. Like, they just seem like defensively there was definitely lapses in their game. And it's kind of part of a trend that I've noticed going back to their previous road game against the Philadelphia Flyers, in which that there was definitely like defensive lapses, and as well as their inability to defend in their own end that has made that has had basically their goaltenders like exposed, for the lack of a better term. But in terms of the Devils, I just think that like in terms of not just the scoring, but their playmaking has been able to like create opportunities for them to score. But then I think the big key in this one certainly is the penalty kill tonight. The Devils were 5 for 5. They were 5 for 5 in the penalty kill, and then also on top of that, through the first 4 games, Cam, they're 16 of 17, which
That'll
is
play.
that is damn near perfect. So if you go on a power play, if you're the opposing team right now, good luck, because the penalty kill for the New Jersey Devils has been outstanding.
It's not an advantage. It's not an advantage if you're going up against that team. Let's keep it in the Atlantic Division, but let's go north of the border, shall we? It's been a kind of a weird trip for the Kraken out east. They take on the Senators in this game, but a couple of Chandler Stevenson goals has them up 3-2 late in the third period. Sens bring on the extra attacker. Tough night for Linus Ullmark in that he was really good, and it looked like he was about to get the loss, but Dylan Cousins lets a bomb go short side, and we are tied at 3 with just under 2 to go. This one survives overtime. We get to the shootout. Stützle and Pinto score, and the Sens come back and win it. Locked On Senators host and certified Butte, Ross Levitan, breaks it down.
Ottawa Senators have their first home win of the regular season. I'm Ross Levitan from Locked On Senators, and for a team that's gone through so much adversity these last 48 hours, from learning that Brady Tkachuk will be out 6 to 8 weeks to allowing 8 goals in a loss to the Buffalo Sabres, the Senators come back on home ice tonight, and it was closer than it should have been. Granted, but Linus Ullmark was excellent down the stretch, allowing the game-tying goal to manufacture itself while he was sitting on the bench, 6-on-5 situation. Dylan Cousins comes through, and then the big boys go to work in the shootout. Tim Stützle, great move around the world and into the back of the net on his fellow comrade, Philipp Grubauer from Germany, and then Shane Pinto, the NHL's league leader in goals. He scored his 6th during the game. He gets the shootout insurance. Linus Ullmark was perfect. We'll be discussing this in the postcast and tomorrow on Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Good night for Linus Ullmark. Not so much for his old team, though. Shukri, this is the game that we had our eyes on towards the end of the night. Bruins in Vegas at the Golden Knights. And this one had goals, and more goals, which you don't expect much from Bruins games this year, but it certainly happened in this one. And it was a lot of the bottom 6 getting it done, including Jeffrey Viel, who gets his first NHL goal since March 18th of 2022. Congrats to him. But it didn't last very long. That put the Bruins up 2-1. Cole Reinhardt tied it up less than 2 minutes later. Jack Eichel scoring against his hometown team after a major deflection. That put him up 3-2. And the Knights wouldn't give up that lead, but it's not that simple. The Bruins are down 6-3 in the third, and they make a game out of it. They get 2 more goals from the bottom 6. 4 of their 5 goals came from the bottom 6 in this game, but 6-5 is what they cut it to. 6-5 would be the final. Chris Golick of Locked On Golden Knights talking about a lot of the goaltending going on out there in Vegas.
The Golden Knights defeat the Boston Bruins 6-5 in Vegas. Defense was optional tonight. Didn't matter. Tough 2 points on the line the Golden Knights got there. Akira Schmid was shaky in what we can classify as a rather important start for him. Aiden Hill will be back in the net this weekend. And of course, there's a lot of news in Vegas regarding the Carter Hart signing. Myself and Tony Cordasco will cover this game against the Boston Bruins and the Carter Hart signing. Monday through Friday, you can catch the Locked On Vegas Golden Knights podcast on YouTube and anywhere you catch your podcast. Your team every day.
2 big takeaways for me in this game, Shukri. I mean, first off, the skill and relentlessness of Vegas shows again, obviously against a team that they're better than, but still they kept coming at you. And the second thing, which is obvious because the Bruins didn't win this game, but that's not the style they're going to use to win games this year.
I mean, if they're going to have a style, their style is they're going to have to win with goaltending and defense. But as we both saw, our defense was optional tonight. Hey, take the night off. You know, go just go to Rondo's and Southie, you know, like what, like no big deal. Don't show up penalty kill, no problem. You know, hey, you know what, William Carlson, go have yourself fun. Go skate at the skating park down near Castle Island. No issue. But the problem with that was like William Carlson led up the Bruins for 2 goals tonight. So, I mean, listen, there was a moment where I thought that perhaps the Bruins would get it together because remember they had that massive penalty kill where they were able to kill up that double minor for the high sticking. It was that Thomas Hertl
a minute and a half of 5-on-3, and then 2.5 of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, they were able to kill that off, and I thought, okay, this is the tide. This is the tide of the turn of the tide, so to speak, for the Bruins in this game. But no, it wasn't enough. So I'm just like, okay, in terms of where ultimately the Bruins went wrong was the way that they just had no answer for any of the Golden Knights top guns. Carlson, Eichel, he had a goal and an assist. So did Pavel Dorofeyev. He also had a goal and an assist. Mark Stone, the playmaking centerman that he is, they just didn't have an answer for it. And that's what ultimately did the Bruins in. But hey, so tip of the cap to Akira Schmid for the 19 saves that he made for the Golden Knights, who still have not lost a game in regulation.
Yeah, they're still a powerful team, if you can believe that. I know it's shocking, but Vegas probably going to be pretty good this year. So will the Dallas Stars. So will the Colorado Avalanche. We had a pretty cool moment in Columbus to go over, and a big comeback in Dallas. That's coming up next on Locked On NHL Game Night. But first, FanDuel. You know them. You love them. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You just pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What I love is that FanDuel gives me so many different ways to play. I build parlays, I try player props, I follow the live lines during the games, and when I get a hunch, I put it down there and I win some money. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. Once again, visit FanDuel.com, download the app today, and get started. Win yourself some money. Back on Locked On NHL Game Night. It's become, unfortunately, a bit of a thing in Columbus. The number 13, very emotional tribute. This one does not come with Johnny Gaudreau. This comes with Cam Atkinson. This was a cool moment before the game. He signed a one-day contract to retire with the Blue Jackets, got in full uniform, and took one last skate around before the game. Got a huge ovation. Really cool moment. It just didn't do much for Columbus during the game. They took a lead in the second, but it was all Avs after that. Cale Makar and Brock Nelson scored within a minute and a half of each other, 2-1 Colorado. They did not look back. They win this one 4-1. Jay Foster of Locked On Blue Jackets just trying to dissect the problem here.
Stop if you've heard this one before. Blue Jackets have good goaltending and ultimately fall because they've completely forgotten how to score goals. Jay Foster, Locked On Blue Jackets here. The Blue Jackets fall 4-1 to the Colorado Avalanche. Technically 3-1. We don't count empty net goals here on Locked On Blue Jackets, but still a concerning pattern is starting to develop for the Blue Jackets in that in 3 of their 4 games, they have scored 2 goals or less. In 2 of their 4 games, they've scored a single goal each. Not great. A little bit of bad luck in this one. They had 2 goals called off for hand passes. One was a legitimate hand pass. One, I think, was slightly less legitimate, but either way, not reviewable. So it doesn't matter, right? You move on, you go to the next one. But this lack of finishing is starting to get really, really concerning for me. And we're going to break that down a little bit more on tomorrow's Locked On Blue Jackets, available wherever you get your podcasts and also over on YouTube.
Wins have been a problem for the Blue Jackets, not necessarily been the problem for the Dallas Stars. They're one of 2 teams, Shukri, that went into tonight still undefeated. Perfect at 3-0-0. That didn't last tonight. It looked like it was going to. It was all Dallas in the first period. They get one early. The Moose gets loose late in the first. They go up in the room up 2-0 on the Mikko Rantanen goal, but those good vibes didn't last. The Canucks, out of nowhere, score 3 times in a span of 3.5 minutes. It's Hedel, it's Besser, it's Max Sasson. Scituate, Massachusetts native Connor Garland gets one in there as well. And they go from down 2 to up 2 in the 20 minutes. And the Canucks do seal the deal, win it 5-3, get an empty netter from Quinn Hughes. No, nothing here. I mean, just his first goal of the season. Stars no longer undefeated, but still, what a turnaround for this Vancouver team that could use some good vibes.
Certainly. And that second period was like a, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
You finally come to the party. 4 goals in that second period. And Thatcher Demko, which was absolutely brilliant, making 28 saves for the Canucks. But then also, like how I look at it, I think ultimately with the Canucks, they didn't have any panic in their game. Even when the Canucks they were trying to define themselves, but I just thought that the way that Quinn Hughes and Connor Garland were able to play together tonight, and as well as watching Philip Hedl, who I think has been a welcome addition to the Canucks. I think he's done wonders in terms of the addition of his game and his skill set to this Canucks lineup. He's been critical. But then also you talk about one of the things that has been critical for the Dallas Stars as well is the fact that at this point they're looking for their first full game. They haven't played a complete game yet this season. And I don't know if how many of you were able to catch the Stars post game discussions following their game if you're in the Dallas Fort Worth market. But this was something that Tyler Second actually did touch on, and it was something that it was noticeable in some of the games that I even had the chance to watch. It was like, man, they look good in this, maybe the first period or second period, but it hasn't been a complete 60. And it's something that you wonder, when are they going to be able to ultimately play that complete game that they're still seeking to do at this point.
Because that's a scary team. That should be a team that's right there in the mix. Obviously, Western Conference Final each of the last 3 years. New coach shouldn't matter that much. That's a Dallas team that should still be there, but they are no longer in the ranks of the unbeaten. Carolina Hurricanes were the other team that came into this night unbeaten at a perfect 3-0-0. They would last the night unbeaten. No spoilers here, but a big night for Seth Jarvis. He gets the first two, puts the Canes up 2-0 in Anaheim. Alexander Nikishin, who played a couple of games for them at the end of last year, gets his first career NHL goal in the third. They go up 3-1. They win it 4-1. This Carolina team looks like a team on a mission, and they survive the pond in Anaheim, which is more than I could say about the Pittsburgh Penguins this week. Penguins at the Kings, both of them coming off disappointing losses. Kings back home where they were so good last year. And it looked like home cooking early. 2-0. They were up within 10 minutes of the first period. And then the wheels fell off. The Pens get 4 unanswered after that. Malkin gets one. Sid gets one on the empty net to put this thing on ice. It's a tough one for LA. They can't do that to my man Eddie Garcia on his birthday, but and his Steelers lost too pretty brutally. So let's hear from Eddie. Let's all wish Eddie a happy birthday in the comments, and let's hear from Eddie Garcia live from the arena after the game.
Happy birthday, Eddie.
Hey, it's Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings, as the LA Kings lose at home to the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 4-2. Kings continue to have their issues on special teams, and for whatever reason, second periods have not been good for the Kings so far this year. Things started off great in this one for LA. 2-0 lead in the first period, goals from Warren Foegele and Kevin Fiala, but Pittsburgh would come back in the second period, score on a power play, even things up at even strength. We're tied 2-2 going in the third, and then a short-handed goal by the Penguins gives them the lead, and then Sidney Crosby ices it with an empty net goal. The Kings had 6 total regulation losses on home ice last year. They've got 2 this year. They're 0-2 on home ice and fall to 1-3-1 on the season. Also didn't help that future Hall of Famer number 1 center Andrei Kopitar out for this game day-to-day with a lower body injury, and number 1 goalie Darcy Kemper did not play in this game, out day-to-day, lower body injury. Backup Anton Forsberg did not fare well in this one, let in 3 goals that I would say were stoppable. For a complete recap on this game, check out the latest episode of Locked On LA Kings.
Tough night in LA. We've got one more on the schedule, Shukri. It's one that I know you had your eyes on pretty closely, Mr. Flagship. Let's send it to your neck of the woods in South Philly. Winnipeg just kind of flying under the radar. Once again, even though they were the President's Trophy winners last year, it was the Jets early and often in this one. Couple of goals for Mark Scheifele. How about only 32 total shots in this game? Not a lot of shots on goal. Winnipeg goes on to win it, though, 5-2. Harrison Lee of Locked On Jets feeling impressed with Winnipeg's start to the season.
Definitely won the Olympics and led the way for the Jets against the Flyers in a big 5-2 victory in a road game where the Jets not only controlled play throughout a good portion of the game, but straight up shut the Flyers down in the third period. Harrison Lee from Locked On Winnipeg Jets here, coming to you right after the game. It was a really impressive performance given where the Jets are health-wise and what they're dealing with against a pretty talented, tough opponent on the road. The Flyers haven't exactly had the hottest start to the season, but the Jets showed them that at the end of the day, sometimes keeping your game plan simple can be the most effective way. Once the Jets had a lead, they refused to relinquish it, and that was enough, while the third line and the fourth line honestly put up some fantastic depth contributions to get the Jets some insurance goals. Impressive performance. We'll chat about that more on tonight's episode of Locked On Winnipeg Jets. See you then. Have a great night, and as always, go Jets go.
For the Flyers in this one, 2 shots in the first, 12 in the second, 2 in the third. The Jets, they space it out. 5 in the first, 5 in the second, 5 in the third. And Shukri, I think that's so emblematic. They do not mind playing this way the entire season.
The Flyers mind playing this way this entire season.
I don't recommend that, Philadelphia. I don't recommend that.
I was watching the game, and as well as listening to the overlay for the station I work for, 97.5 Fanatic, as a host and producer. And the thing that stood out to me, and I talked about it with my colleague who I was working with tonight, and I was saying, they at one point the Flyers were out shooting Winnipeg, but Winnipeg was in the lead. But then Mark Scheifele does what Mark Scheifele does best, which is when given time and space, you take advantage. Scheifele was given time and space, and they took advantage. And one of the things that I talked about before the game with colleagues here in this Philadelphia market was defensively. They are going to need to get more defensively from Travis Sanheim and Cam York. And tonight, and it wasn't just indicative of those two, but it was rather indicative as a blue line unit as a whole. The way that they played defensively, they gave Winnipeg just too much time and space. I mean, if you go back and you rewatch the Vladislav Namestnikov goal, the Morgan Barron goal, it was the same thing, like too much time and space and not clogging up the shooting lanes. So the Winnipeg Jets, I agree, like they have somewhat flown under the radar just a little bit this season, but I'm not surprised given the talent they have in this roster. But for the Flyers, they certainly have a lot to work to do in terms of improving defensively if they are going to return back to contention this season.
Just a little personal note, Shukri. I'm going to see Porter Martone live Friday night. Number 3 Michigan State at number 1 Boston University. Going to be great.
And I'm a BU fan, by the way, Cam. So that's amazing.
Same here. We highlight the Terriers on this show.
Yes.
Me and Shukri just on the same page when it comes to this stuff, man. We are on the same page. So I'll give you a scouting report if that's okay. I'll give you a nice little scouting report on Porter Martone. Of course, the Bruins just they only pick guys from BC and not BU, which is frustrating, but
I mean, how could you be? I mean, we picked a pretty good play in James Hagan.
Yeah, no, I'm not complaining about that in a vacuum. It's a good point. I'm not complaining about the James.
Complaining about James Hagan? It's like
because there's every opportunity in the world that Don Sweeney wouldn't have picked him, even though he was the best player available there. So I'm just happy that happened, and I'm happy we got a great slate of 11 games in the NHL tonight. And I've got some great news for you. Tomorrow, Friday, for the first time this season, we're going to have NHL hockey. How about that? Clap it up for Gary Bettman. One time that we're actually going to play on a Friday. And my man Shukri and Eddie Garcia will have all the goals, highlights, storylines, and analysis that you could ever ask for around this league. If you are a true hockey fan, there's really only one show that you need to follow every day, and that is us here on Locked On NHL Game Night and all that we've got going on the Locked On NHL channel on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. So do us a favor. Tell us what you thought about the night in the NHL in the comment section below, and then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're a true fan and you don't want to miss anything. For Shukri Wrights, I'm Cam Stewart. We will see you tomorrow night on another edition of Locked On NHL Game Night.